It is make or break time for the man who's led Iraq for the past 4 years as he battles for his political survival. At a time when US troops are just about to pack up and go home, have Iraqis finally spoken out against the long-running divisions? The future of Iraq and its people. This is Inside Story. Hello there, I'm Nick Clark. Welcome to the programme. It is too tight to call, and it's taken many by surprise. Former Prime Minister Iyad Allawi and his secular bloc are likely to gain 4 times as many seats as he had after the last elections back in 2005. He is currently pretty much neck and neck with Nouri al-Maliki, and some attribute this to a strong desire by the Iraqis to bring down artificial partitions and go back to their unified nation. Others say the results indicate a poor performance of PM Maliki's government over the last 4 years. Well, joining us to discuss this are our guests in Baghdad. Saad al-Muttal-ibi, a candidate for Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki's State of Law coalition, also an advisor to the National Security Council. In Erbil, al-Maliki, a Sunni member of parliament and a candidate for former Prime Minister Iyad Allawi's al-Iraqi coalition. And in Washington, D.C., we have Kenneth Katzman, a Gulf Affairs analyst with the Congressional Research Service. Gentlemen, welcome all to the programme. Mr. Muttal-ibi, I'd like to start with you. Who would have thought it? Everyone thought that your man, Nouri al-Maliki, was going to win. Now he's fighting for his political life.
Yes, it is a surprise. It's a wonderful surprise that the Iraqi people have finally participated in full in a most spectacular democratic demonstration where they voted freely without any interference from anybody. The government supported this free all-out election, did not use any of the tools that at its disposal that people were worried that the government might use, and it definitely did not use. The total contribution of the Iraqi people was absolutely wonderful. I don't believe that Mr. Maliki is fighting for his political career in Iraq. As you know, this is an election and it's only 4 years, even at worst if he would lose forming the government.
But you didn't expect it to be this close, I dare say. He got it very wrong, didn't he?
We did not expect it to be this close. It's not a matter of getting wrong or right. This is the free will of the Iraqi people. We are very happy that they voted and they participated in this huge number. It is, after all, a democratic process. You win some, you lose some. But let's remember, it is not final yet.
Absolutely, you're right. There's still a long way to go.
Yes.
There's still a long way to go.
Yes,
al-Maliki
exactly.
In Erbil, you're in the Allawi camp. Did you anticipate this position with what, 84% of the vote counted?
Well, we participated actively, really, and we represent the iceberg of a big current in Iraq, pushing the political regime to be changed, and pushing the current government to be changed because of a lot of chaos and a lot of bad behavior of the government in the past 4 years, and inability to control the security completely. Well, there was some improvement in security, but in the last few months the condition deteriorated. Generally speaking, we represent Iraqi belongism. We are bypassing sectarianism and ethnism, and we are going in Iraq to be united Iraq, and to the identity to be Iraqi. Therefore, we gave the name Iraqia, which belong to Iraq. So really, we represent the current wave to change the government to a better state. Also, we can coalesce with anybody who will accept our program and accept to deal with us, accept to have compromising issues with us to improve the general conditions of Iraq.
Well, we'll move on to the coalescing, the coalition side of things a little bit later in the programme. But Kenneth Katzman, what do you think we should conclude from what we're seeing in this election?
Well, thank you, Nick. First, let me say I'm not speaking for the Congressional Research Service or Congress. I'm here as an Iraq expert on my own. But I think this was a big surprise. You know, I expected perhaps the other Shiite coalition of Hakim and the Sadris and Jafari to perhaps do better. Nobody expected the Iraqi coalition to be actually ahead, and I think in the total vote count. I haven't seen the count today, but province by province, it's a little different. You know, obviously I sit in Washington. The United States, I think, is, you know, somewhat favorable toward the former Prime Minister Allawi. He's viewed as, you know, not that much allied with Iran, or in some ways against Iranian influence in Iraq. And I think the United States government would probably view that as positive. The U.S. government might conclude that this was in some ways a little bit of a rejection of the pro-Iranian parties and in favor, rejection of the religious parties in favor of secularism. But, you know, the Prime Minister Maliki's slate, he still did well. The problem is it didn't do better than expected.
How important do you think the new voting system was, this open list system as opposed to the closed list system from last time in 2005?
Well, the Sadrists wanted it, Ayatollah Sistani wanted it, and, you know, I think it's helpful because it helps the Iraqis express particular candidates who they want to see elected, and it weakens the ability of the parties to decide who sits in the seats. So I think it helped. You know, obviously some of these slates, Iraqi slate, I think, was helped somewhat by this.
Okay, well, let's just review the participants in this election. Pretty complex business. More than 80 political entities were in the running, and they are grouped into various alliances. Those leading the polls are the State of Law Coalition, led by the current Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. It was created last year and is mainly Shia, though its mandate does include Sunnis. Also established in 2009 is the other mainly Shia group, the National Iraqi Alliance, and that includes the radical cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. And then there's the Iraqi National Movement, or Allawi Iraqiyya, which has proved somewhat of a surprise contender, as we've been discussing already at the polls. It's the most secular group and includes Iraq's Sunni Vice President and the former Prime Minister Iyad Allawi, who is Shia. And the Kurds, of course, are playing an important role in these elections. The Kurdish Alliance includes the party led by Iraq's Kurdish President Jalal Talabani. They, along with the rival Goran bloc, have taken over 1.5 million votes. So, Mr. Muttal-ibi, all this demonstrates that people want to go back to the secular system. They're fed up with the divisions, the artificial divisions, the sectarianism.
I don't fully agree with that. If we count both alliances, the State of Law and the National Alliance, Iraqi INA, then we will find that the total number of those two will exceed by far the Iraqi bloc. So we are still not away 100% from the feeling of sectarians voting for their own sects. We really, really hoped that we would be far away from this. But eventually, I mean, apparently, we are not. But within few years, probably we will all move away into a national blocks with competing on political agenda and not competing on sectarianism or racialism or whatever, nationalism. Eventually, political programs will come into play and all competition will be done from the point of view of a political program. Of course, Dr. Ala, as you know, is an ex-IIP member, a leading IIP member, Islamic party, and who was a very strong Sunni political movement that they were very sectarian, but he himself have moved away from this bloc and joined the Iraqiyya, which was revamped lately in the last few months by adding new figures. So they did cross the sectarian divide, which is a very positive move. Okay. But as I said, we still have to count to see how many numbers. And I think his optimism is slightly too premature.
No, well, al-Maliki, Kirkuk was interesting, wasn't it? Because there we had people wanting Allawi and not the Kurdish alliance, and that is to say, presumably, they want Iraq united and not so interested in federalism.
Well, I just like to comment about my friend that I was in IIP really, and I now moved to Iraqi as nationalism and as belongism to Iraq. And that's that I described in the first part of my talk, that there is a current now. We want to be isolated from any sectarian attitude, from any division attitude, to go to unite and reunite and build our Iraqi tent again. So this is from one part. About the Kurdish alliances, the general current in Iraq now, from all the people who were calling for federalism, are now going to unite Iraq. Even the Kurdistan region, now really the tendency to join stronger with the center. They are putting a candidate, Mr. Jalal Talabani, to be president, and that means they want to participate actively. So from this point, I just want to conclude that the current of Iraqi union and Iraq to be a solid country, it is not, I mean, it's not a dictatorship or something like that, but it's just belonging to Iraq and work for Iraq, and Iraq to be the identity which has the priority on other agendas, which is local. Well, this is the general title what Iraqi people want now, and this is the results that we were somehow pioneer in this. I mean, Iraqi is pioneer to leading this current, and we are happy to have other people feeling in this feeling from the state of law or from INA or Kurdistan Alliance to go hand in hand to build this political attitude in the near future.
So Kenneth Katzman, taking that on, what are we seeing here? Is this a kind of evolution in a nascent democracy? Is that how you would assess it?
Well, it's certainly been evolving that way, but I think, you know, Mr. Muttal-ibi's point is well taken. You know, we have not completely gotten away, or Mr. al-Maliki, I forget who said it, but we have not completely gotten away from sectarianism. In other words, most Shias voted for a Shiite coalition. Sunnis seem to have voted for Allawi coalition, even though he himself is a Shiite. But what I was saying is we seem to be getting away from religiosity and you know, the religious parties. Those seem to not have done too well, particularly the Supreme Council faction. It did not do particularly well in the provincial elections, and again here it seems not to do particularly well. Maliki is a Shiite coalition mainly, but it's not as religious as Hakim Supreme Council grouping. And, you know, Allawis, the Iraqi, it has some, you know, IIP religious Sunni, but mainly it's a secular bloc, very nationalistic, not so religious. So I think we're moving towards secularism. What we have not seen is a move away from necessarily sectarianism yet. You know, the Kurds still voted, obviously, for the Kurdish bloc, and so we still have that playing around.
Okay, also playing around is this issue, this word that we mentioned earlier, the coalescing, the coalitions that have to be struck. And let's examine that a little bit now. To win, a bloc must get at least 50% of the vote, and it looks likely that to get such a majority, political alliances will have to be made, almost certain. One group that could be vital is that Kurdish bloc that we've been talking about. Now, they allied themselves with Nouri al-Maliki after the 2005 elections, and since then many have become, well, they've become disillusioned by the perceived poor treatment of Kurds under the Maliki-led government. So they may be inclined to look to one of the other major blocs. The two competing Shia blocs were actually allied until last year, and they were established after the United Iraqi Alliance that won the previous election broke down. Now, observers will be waiting to see if these two groupings can overcome their differences in order to triumph politically once again. Mr. Muttal-ibi, in such a situation, yes, could I ask who would be the boss in that case? Would it be Mr. Allawi or Mr. al-Maliki?
Well, first of all, we have to wait and see the result of the elections. We have to wait and see who gains majority, not majority, who gains the biggest block after the voting and the calculating the account is finalized. The biggest bloc will be asked to form the government. So we have to wait. Up to now, with the information and the data we have been receiving, it's more likely that Mr. Maliki will be the next Prime Minister. The hurdle will be forming the new government, because to form the new government, he will require 163 members of Parliament to endorse the new government. So that will be the challenge.
Okay.
The challenge will not be who is the boss. Boss is Maliki. We are finalized with that. But we'll have to see how he can do the horse trading and the workout and get 163 members of Parliament on his side.
Well, let's see how such horse trading may be received on the other side, on the Allawi side. al-Maliki, from your perspective, Iraqi are hooking up with the state of law. Is that out of the question?
Well, really, generally speaking, now the current in Iraq and the general public, they won't change. And therefore, we just noticed that the highest participation in Iraqi elections in this election. So this implicate and this, show that Iraqis, they won't change. So with my all respect to Nouri al-Maliki, with my all respect to the blocs in the parliament, we just not speaking about the blocs in the parliament. We should know that the Iraqi street, what Iraqi street wants. So this current, and yes, we will wait after after everything, the results occur and all these things appear, and later on we will think of how to form the blocks. But we should not forget that the general tendency to change is there. And this will be a point, and if the same Prime Minister remain the next 4 years, well, the Iraqi people will be disappointed, and all this high participation and majority of people really will be disappointed, and that might be reflected to some political problems.
Let's throw this over to Washington.
Point.
Let's throw this over to Washington. Kenneth Katzman, how easy do you think it will be for either of these men to form a government?
I'm not convinced it's necessarily the next Prime Minister is going to be either Maliki or Allawi.
Right.
Because neither may accept the other, and I think even within Maliki's coalition, some may go away from him because, again, he did not have an overwhelming victory, and maybe in the overall total vote count, he may even not have had a victory at all. So I don't think Maliki has an instant automatic road to be Prime Minister again. You know, we may get somebody else. There are various people in the Iraqi National Alliance who might step up. Adil Abdul Mahdi from the Supreme Council is one name that goes around. Ibrahim Jafari, who's part of that group, he was Prime Minister already. He could try to come back. We keep hearing about Ahmed Chalabi. Also in the National Alliance coalition, although the U.S. obviously has major concerns with Mr. Chalabi. But you know, it could be somebody who's viewed as neutral, you know.
Do you think
Allawi,
I was just going to say, do you think that there's a fear that with all this coalition building and horse trading, as we're calling it, could open the door for more trouble, all this sort of empty space, the void for trouble and violence?
Well, that is a fear. You know, last time it did take about till the election was end of December. It took till May to have a government. That's a long time. This time the election's in March. It could go till June, July. You know, very long. You know, again, the U.S. troops are still there. There is a drawdown. It's been, you know, somewhat safer. There are high-profile attacks going on, of course, but we do not have all-out sectarian warfare as we had in 2006, 2007. So I don't expect major violence to erupt if there's a void, but there could be a long, drawn-out period to form this government because there's not a lot of candidates that everybody agrees would be a good next Prime Minister.
al-Maliki, briefly, if you would, what do you say to Mr. Katzman's point about the fact that perhaps Mr. Maliki nor Mr. Allawi will be in power when the election's finally decided? Well,
it really depends on the blocks will be formed in the parliament, And we don't say that definitely Allawi will be the prime minister, or definitely al-Maliki, or definitely somebody else. But generally speaking, we have to change. That means somebody other than Mr. Nouri al-Maliki to be the prime minister. Whether it's Allawi or not, well, this depends on the coalitions and depends on the agreements and the acceptance of other blocs. And it really needs time and needs a large number of meetings and debates and efforts to reach the optimum person.
Mr. Muttal-ibi, if we could finish with you. Yes. Overall, would you say that this is a sign, the way these elections have gone, this is a sign that Iraq is on the right path?
I would definitely say, I agree with you. This is a very, very clear indication that we're on the right track. The right path and moving in the right direction. It's very positive. All the outcome is positive, regardless of who wins, who loses. It is the correct process. But I just would like to insist that we, at the state of law, we insist on Mr. Maliki as the prime minister, regardless of what others think. If we gain the majority in the results of the elections and become the biggest bloc, then we will definitely insist on Mr. Maliki, as we do not have other candidates. And I do not agree with Kenneth that he thinks that there are rumors of a split or divisions within the state of law. I think this is unfounded, and I am inside state of law and very close to decision makers, and I do not believe there are any such rumors or such thoughts of changing Mr. Maliki.
Okay, well, we'll see how it pans out.
If he gets the votes, yes.
Okay, we'll see how it pans out in the days and indeed in the weeks ahead. That's all we've got time for now. Saad al-Muttal-ibi, al-Maki, and Kenneth Katzman, thanks very much for your contributions. And thanks for watching this edition of Inside Story. Drop us an email if you have any thoughts or suggestions. InsideStory@aljazeera.net is the address. From me, Nick Clark, it's goodbye.